series of yin yoga. If it's always nice also to make sure that you have some privacy, maybe close the door wherever you are, or maybe even have some nice relaxing music playing. If you have Spotify, you can maybe go to a meditative station, or I have a playlist, Carolyn's Gentle Yoga, Carolyn's Yin Yoga. And I'm Carolyn, by the way, if you're new here tonight, and I'm so happy that you're here to join us. We're going to actually begin our sequence tonight for our joint pain release on our backs. I have a block up at the top of my mat, and this is actually to support my head. Highly recommended if you've got some comfortable blocks. Maybe you even roll up a blanket if you prefer and use that, just so we can get warmed up and be ready for the poses that we're going to be holding this evening. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So 2 blocks, a blanket, a bottle of water, some relaxing music, and we will begin. So let's go ahead and find our way onto our back. Maybe have a block there just to support. And you can have a blanket at the bottom of your mat if you like, but it's certainly not required. And we're just going to begin to relax and focus on our breath. Take your hands and maybe make a triangle with the fingers and just place them right over the belly. Squeeze the shoulders in underneath, perhaps even close your eyes. And let's focus right now on relaxation as we begin this yin session. So beginning our breath with a lion's breath, we're going to breathe in from the belly. Send that breath up into the chest collarbone region. Spin just a little bit more, maybe hold that breath for just a bit, and then exhale that breath out through the mouth. Noticing how your body feels, a little bit more relaxed. We're going to do one more just like that. Breathing in deeply from the belly. Noticing your breath traveling up through the collarbone, in through the back of your throat, holding that breath for just a bit. And then letting it out through your mouth. Good work. Now we're going to turn that into Ujjayi yoga breathing. And for those of you that are new to yoga, that is just breathing in through your nose, breathing out through your nose. And you will start to hear your breath in the back of your throat. It sounds a little bit like the ocean. And a trick to achieving this is to breathe in as though you're surprised to see somebody. Breathe out as though you're fogging up a hand mirror with your nostrils, or maybe your glasses with your nostrils. Let's give it a try. Breathing in deeply, taking in a little more breath, holding that breath for just a bit, and then sending that breath out through the nostrils. Good, beautiful yoga breath. Maybe making the exhale just a little bit longer than the inhale. Let's try it again. Breathing in deeply, taking in a little more air, holding that air for just a bit, and then letting it out through your nostrils. Beautiful. Try to continue to breathe just like this throughout your practice. And at the same time, we're going to set an intention for our practice, especially good to do during a yin practice in yoga, because we are holding poses for a long period of time. And sometimes there's silence and you just hear your breath. You just hear the music. It's easy and it's perfectly normal and natural for the mind to start to wander. We want to keep the mind in the here and in the now. We don't want to think about the past. We want to let all that go. We don't want to even think about the future, what we're going to do later, or any lists we might have sitting on our desk. We want to let it all go. So maybe your intention is simply your breath, simply the words inhale, exhale. Maybe your intention can be a person, something that you love, someone that you love. You can send tonight's energy to that person. Or maybe it's just a single word or a single thought, a word like gratitude, love, joy, peace, lots of different words that can bring joy to your heart. So with that, let's take another community breath, a virtual community breath together, breathing in deeply from the belly, sipping in a little more air, holding that breath for just a bit, and then letting it out through your nose. Good. Let's go ahead and send the right leg up. We're going to press the right foot into the mat. Take the hands and just pull the knee in towards the chest. Take a nice stretch here as you breathe. And then we're just going to begin to make some circles, warming up the spine, warming up the joints. Our focus tonight is pain in the joints and releasing that pain. And on your next breath, we're going to send that knee in the opposite direction, making those circles, maybe even slowing it down with your breath. Good. Next breath, we're going to press the right foot down, send that foot back down to meet the left, and we're going to do the other side. So we're going to just press the left foot into the mat, send it up, take the hands, spread the fingers wide, grab the knee, pull the knee in towards the chest, and then just begin to make some circles. As you're breathing, as you're making these circles, think about the hip joints. Think about just releasing any kind of tension or strain or pressure that you have, that you might be holding there. Then on your next breath, we're going to go ahead and bend the left knee, bring both knees together and give a little pull towards the chest. Then go ahead and press the soles of the feet together. Take your hands, place them on each knee, right hand on the right knee, left hand on the left knee, and we're going to make some circles going in one direction. Feet stay connected. I call this particular move stirring the pot. On your next breath, we're going to draw the knees towards the chest and send the knees towards that front wall, just reversing those circles, warming up the body, getting ready to hold those poses that we have for tonight's sequence. On your next breath, go ahead and let the feet just plant right back down into the mat. We're going to go ahead and just send the feet back down the mat. We're going to do our first pose, which is Badasana. And that is because it's a bit like a banana. So we're going to take the right foot and just slide it all the way to the right side of the mat. Maybe it even comes off the mat. Go ahead and cactus the arms just over the head very lightly. No intense tightness or pressure. Then we're going to take the left foot and then just cross the foot over the right at the ankle. Then maybe reach back just ever so slightly towards the wall behind you. Right hand is going to grab a hold of the left wrist, and you're going to pull the body towards the right wall. Be very careful with your head if it's on a block. And just remember that your head's on that block. Maybe you're more comfortable taking your head off the block for this. I'm going to demo my head on the block. And we're just going to stay. Relax the hands. Relax the arms. And we're going to hold this pose. You can even close your eyes. You don't have to worry about how long we're going to stay. The good news is I have a timer up by the camera and I have a timer right by my mat. So all you need to do is just breathe and enjoy this pose. And feel the nice stretch that you're achieving right now on the left side of the trunk, the left side of the waistline. That nice stretch. It's not too deep. It's not too intense. It's a great way to warm up as we begin this sequence. So we're going to stay for about 2 more breaths. Make sure you're hearing your breath in the back of your throat. Breath travels up the spine. Breath travels out down the spine. Inhale. Exhale. Good. We're going to release this. Bring your gaze up towards the ceiling. Maybe cactus the hands again and just release the arms. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. And then we're going to just bring that left foot all the way. So the feet are wide, all the way to the left side of the mat. Maybe it's slightly off the mat, even better. And then we're going to take the right foot and right ankle is going to cross right over that left ankle. And then we're going to reach up just slightly. Left hand is going to grab right wrist and then pull the body towards the right wall. If you need to adjust your block, just make that adjustment, or maybe you don't use your block at all if you prefer. And then maybe you close your eyes, holding this pose, allowing yourself to be still, and just noticing what you feel on the right side of the waistline, right side of the trunk. Gentle stretch. Breathing in, exhaling out. Allowing yourself to let go. Allowing yourself to just breathe and feel the breath. Feel the chest rise. Feel the chest fall. We're going to stay for 2 more breaths here. Breathing in from the belly. Sipping in just a bit more. Holding that breath. And then letting it out through your nose. Inhale. Exhale. Good. And then we're going to release this. Just bringing the feet right back down to the center line of your mat. Let's go ahead and send the hands down by the body side. Squeeze the shoulder blades under. And we're going to press the soles of the feet back into the mat. Let's go ahead and take hold of the knees. Pull them into the chest. And just rock gently side to side. Next breath, we're going to take our hands and slide them right behind the knees, and we're going to make a gentle rock forward. So just bring the feet up just a bit and rock forward, coming into a seated position onto your mat. And we're going to go right into our very next pose, which is a butterfly pose. Now, for butterfly, it's not always a very comfortable pose to hold for a long period of time because our knees aren't necessarily supported. So just to come into butterfly pose, sitting up nice and tall, we are going to press the soles of our feet together. And our knees are just up in the air. So we're going to take the blocks and just place them to support our knees. And then we're going to send the feet out just a little bit more. So if you look down, you'll see a nice diamond shape that you have created. And maybe you adjust the blocks just a little bit, taking off any strain, any pressure. And then on your next breath, we're going to round the spine and maybe take the hands, place them on the knees, and just slide the hands, fingers down to the feet. Relax the head, relax the neck, draw the chin in. And we're just going to hold this pose. Maybe you take your gaze to your ankles. Maybe you close your eyes here. And just allow yourself to be still. If you're new to yin yoga, one of the hardest things to get used to is staying still. Many of us take other yoga classes during the week, and they're more active. And yin is all about stillness. Yin is about coming in and out of poses in a respectable manner. Yin is about holding a pose between a minute, 3 minutes, sometimes even 5 minutes. We're not going to do any of those this evening. So we're almost done holding this pose. While you're breathing, I'll just tell you one more thing about yin. You want to feel a little bit of discomfort, but not ever extreme discomfort. So if you ever feel any kind of strain or intense pain, you'll want to come out of the pose. On the other hand, you want to feel some stretching, releasing of tension, and improving our flexibility, which sometimes causes us to want to fidget and come out of the pose, but try to stay. We're here for one more breath. You're doing fantastic. Deep breath in from the belly. Sipping in just a bit more air. Maybe hold that breath and then let it out through your nostrils. Beautiful. We're going to go ahead and come up from that pose. Let's go ahead and take the blocks, remove them briefly. And sometimes in yin, it's nice to do a little counter pose. So we'll just take our hands, sit up nice and tall, bring the hands back behind, fingertips facing that back wall. And then we'll just bring the knees all the way to the right. Exhale, bring them to the left. Kind of windshield wipe the knees side to side. Breathing in, exhaling out, slowing it down with your breath. Breathing in, exhaling out. Nice work. And then we're going to walk the hands forward and come into a table. So we need to come into it in a respectable manner. So we're going to take our hands, spread the fingers nice and wide, thinking of our joints, press the hands into the mat, and then just come right to that tabletop position. Now, I will say, if table is a place where your knees bother you, you can always take a blanket. We're not going to be here very long, but you can fold a blanket and just place it right where your knees are going to be, giving yourself just a little added cushion and support. You can also fold your mat, another nice thing to do. So once we're in table, let's take a look at our hands and make sure our fingers are spread as wide as possible because we are working on our joints tonight. Press your fingertips into the mat and let's just make some little wiggles with our spine, maybe moving one hip towards the wall on either side, just moving our hips side to side, maybe even making some circles, some deep hip circles. As we're doing this, pressing fingertips in and breathing in, exhaling out, and then we're going to take a cat-cow. So breathing in, we're going to draw the belly towards the mat, and then exhale, chin comes to the chest, draw the belly in, and then come back to neutral, and we're going to go right into our next pose, which is melting heart. Really, really good for the joints. So we're going to walk our hands about 2 hand spaces to about the top of the mat, and then slide the hands down just a little bit. Bring the forehead into the mat. Keep the hips up nice, reaching towards the ceiling, straighten the arms, and maybe even walk the fingertips a little off the mat. Melting heart, pressing your forehead in. We're going to hold this pose. This pose is so beneficial for the hips, beneficial for the shoulders. Make sure you're still breathing and hearing that breath in the back of your throat. Thinking about all the good that you're doing for your body right now, in this very moment. Breathing in. Sipping in a little more air. Exhaling out through your nose. If you feel a little fidgety, a little wiggly, just try to go back to your intention. Try to think of the words inhale, exhale. and give yourself permission to do good things for your body. Staying in a yin pose, resisting the temptations or the urges to come out. We're here for only 2 more breaths. So with that breath, inhale, exhale, breathing in, exhaling out. Good work. And then slide the hands forward, maybe bend the elbows into the mat, and then slowly come back up into a table. If you want to make some little wiggles side to side or make some little hip circles, perfectly fine to do. And then we're going to go right into our next pose. Our next pose is going to be a wide-kneed child's pose. So we're almost there. We're just going to bring our right knee to the outside part of our mat, on our blanket perhaps, and then the left knee towards the outside of our mat. And then think about your feet behind you. Just draw them together so that the big toes touch. And then we're going to send the heels or the hips back towards the heels. And we're going to go ahead and just come on down. Maybe walk the hands forward just a little bit. Now, we're not going to stay exactly here. We're going to twist this because we are working on joint health. So we want to make sure we're getting the benefits. So with your next breath, we're going to go ahead and just take the right hand, maybe straighten it, and then bend the right elbow and just thread the needle. Slide the right hand off the mat right underneath the left arm. Now you have a choice. You can stay right here, but if you want a little more benefit, maybe you take the left hand, wrap it back behind you, and maybe place the fingers on the right thigh. And you can close your eyes here, relax the head, press the right ear into the mat, and just try to hold this. Hearing your music, maybe, hearing your breath, closing your eyes, letting everything go. Since we're twisted in this pose, we're not going to hold it quite as long. So we're only going to stay for 2 more breaths. Breathing in, exhaling out. Breath travels up the spine. Breath travels down the spine. Good. And then to come out of the pose, if you did take it all the way twisted, just bring your left hand back around and slide the right hand forward. And let's just come back into a neutral child's pose. And maybe you just stay here for a breath, breathing in deeply, exhaling fully. And then with your next breath, we're going to do that same thing on the other side. So we're just going to straighten the arms, maybe reach the left hand out in front, bend the left elbow, and then just thread the needle. Slide the left hand off the mat towards the right side. Press your left ear into the mat. And you can stay right here, or if you want a little deeper stretch, go ahead and take that left arm and just bring it back behind. My back's to you, so you get to see the other side of this particular pose. And you can see my fingers are tucked in right between my thigh, right where the hip connects. Make sure you just relax the neck. Maybe press the ear on the left side into the mat. And allow yourself to let go. Trying to stay. If you do need to come out of the pose, if you're feeling any kind of pain, do come out of it. If it's just a little bit uncomfortable, try to stay for the full benefit. We're almost there. We have 2 more breaths. Breathing in deeply. Exhaling fully. Take another breath in. And then let that breath out. Good work. And then to come out of this pose, we're just going to release the right arm back to the mat. Slide the left hand out. We're in that original child's pose, but we're going to just come right out of it. Slide the hands up towards the body. Bring the knees back together. And then we're going to press the toes into the mat and just sit back onto our toes. And you can also make sure that the baby toe is getting a little bit of action. So we're actually pressing the toes into the mat. And this is called Hero's Pose. While we're here, might as well make some circles with our wrists. So we're going to just send the hands out towards the front and maybe make a fist and just rotate the wrists. We don't hold this particular pose very long. It can be kind of a hard one, but it's very good for plantar fasciitis, foot problems, if you wear high heels. And then on your next breath, we're going to actually come out of this. So we're going to spread the hands, spread the fingers, press them into the mat, coming back onto our knees, flatten the feet, and just pedal out the toes, getting a little bit of relief there. And then we'll go ahead and sit back on our heels. This time we're sitting onto the tops of our feet, stretching out the ankles. We're going to take our blanket and just remove it for right now. Just put it up towards the top of your mat because we'll be using it in just a little bit later. So on your next breath, we're going to take the hands, spread them wide, come back onto our knees for a table, but we're not going to stay. We're going to tuck the toes. We're going to lift the knees, and we're going to come up into a down dog. We're not going to hold the down dog. We're just getting a little stretch, using this as a counter pose, and we're going to come into a pigeon pose. So on your next breath, we're going to go ahead and raise the right leg. Bend the knee, and then aim that knee for our right elbow, and then just drop the shin, scooch back onto that left side, and walk the hands towards the top of the mat. And just come on down and relax. This is a great, great hip opener. So good for the joints of the hip. If you drive a lot during the week in your car, spend a lot of time in the car, if you sit at your desk, this is a fantastic pose to release all of the tension that we hold while sitting for long periods of time. So just continuing your breath as you hold this pose. Another interesting thing about this particular pose is it is also known by other names. You may hear sleeping swan, or you may hear half pigeon. And pigeon is a popular one. It's not a full pigeon, but it's perfectly fine to call it a pigeon. So we're here for about 3 more breaths. Breathing in deeply. Exhaling fully. Inhale deeply. And then let all that breath out through your nose. Inhale. Exhale. Good. And then we're slowly going to come out of this pose, and we're going to take a little stretch. We're going to look over our left shoulder, bend that knee, and just grab that foot, draw the foot towards the body, just getting a little stretch in the thigh, not really a joint, but just a good opportunity here to take care of that stretch. And then on your next breath, we're going to release the foot. Make sure your props are out of the way, and then just swing the leg around to the front. And you're going to notice that you end up in almost a tree pose. We're not going to stay in this pose. We're going to actually take the right knee and bend it up and then grab hold of our right ankle and cross it over the body. We're going to lay the knee right in front. And this is called shoelace. This is actually half shoelace on the right side. Now, if you are very flexible, you can turn this into full shoelace. And I am going to demo that. So you can stay right here. Maybe this is a shoelace for you, which is perfectly fine. There are no rules. Or you can take it into the full shoelace where you maybe rock onto the left hip and then bend that left knee and just set it up like this, sitting up nice and tall. Now, if you are in your full shoelace, or even if you're in your half shoelace, a nice thing to do while we're holding this pose is to take care of the wrists. And there's a very nice stretch that we can do. So we're going to just take the hands, spread the fingers wide, and then we're going to turn the right hand upside down and just take the fingers and place them underneath the left foot, and then take the left hand, flip the hand, and send those fingers underneath the right foot. And then just try to press the hands down into the mat and feel that stretch you get in the wrist. You may even feel a stretch up and down your arms, your forearms, all the way up. Now, if this is too much intensity, just back off a little bit. It is a nice distraction as we work with our wrists from holding the pose that we're holding, stacking the knees in our shoelace that we're holding. So you're doing a great job. If you've had enough with the wrist stretch, you can go ahead and remove the hands and maybe press them into the mat and get a little stretch the other way. Maybe you lean forward just a little bit. And if that's enough on the wrist, you can always make a little fist and just rotate the wrist a little bit. And maybe you just choose to stay still for the remainder of this particular pose. And we're just going to breathe and hold this. Once again, working on our joints and our hips. Not worrying and not being hard on ourselves if we have to come out of this pose or if we're not in the full expression. It's a journey. That's the beautiful thing about yoga. It's something you can do lifelong at any age, and anybody can do it, any size, any shape. That's what I love about it. It's not competitive, and it's truly a journey. There are poses that you might not be able to do today that if you keep up with your practice, you'll be able to do in a month or 2 months, maybe sooner. And there are other poses that will come along as well that you might be able to do better 2 days from now, or maybe you did them better last week. Perfectly normal. It's what it's all about. We're almost there. Let's take one more breath. Deep breath in from the belly. Taking that breath up through the back of your throat. And then sending that breath out through your nostrils. Great. Now we're going to untwist. So we're just going to bring that right foot back and bring that left foot back. Maybe we take our hands, bring them back behind, and just windshield wipe the knees a little bit, side to side, breathing in, exhaling out. And then we are going to go into our pigeon on the other side. So we need to get there in a respectable way. So we'll walk the hands forward towards the body. Let the knees come down on the right side. Take the hands, press them into the mat, and then make our way into a table where we are not going to stay. We're going to tuck the toes. Lift the hips up into that down dog. If you want to pedal out here briefly, stretch out the muscles, reach the hips towards the ceiling. Always a great thing to do. Press the fingertips into the mat. And then on your next breath, we're going to raise the left leg. Reach it up high, three-legged dog. Go ahead and bend that knee and then aim that knee towards the left elbow. Go ahead and drop the left shin. Flatten the right foot and send that leg back on the right side. And this is proud pigeon. You can stay here for just a bit if you want, if you wish to. And then go ahead and come down onto your elbows. Maybe come down a little deeper. The interesting thing about this particular pose and other poses as well is sides can be so different. One side can be so much more flexible than the other side. And another thing that I should mention, you may have already heard me say this if you've been with me before, but a really nice thing about what we're doing right now, the pigeon pose, the sleeping swan, this pose benefits so many of your internal organs. So as well as working on the joints, you are helping your thyroid right now. You're helping your spleen, liver health, detoxification, so many great things about this pose. So as you're working this evening, just think about all the great things you're doing for your body and yin yoga in general. It's so wonderful. It's so good for your flexibility, this pose as well. And it really will enhance whatever it is you do. Maybe it's other yoga practices. Maybe it's tennis, running, golf, cycling, swimming, you name it. Yin yoga and yoga in general can really make your game a lot better, whatever sport it is you're doing, or whatever life it is you're living, cooking, working at your desk, driving your car. Okay, we're almost there. So let's stay here for one more breath. Deep breath in. We're going to sip in a little more through the collarbone region. Maybe hold that breath for just a bit and then let it out through your nostrils. Good work. We're going to go ahead and press on up. Take that stretch opportunity. So we're going to look over our right shoulder, bend that knee, pull that foot towards the body, get a really nice stretch, holding that stretch. And then on your next breath, we're going to send that leg around, coming back around, and we end up in that same position as before, which almost looks like a tree pose. We're not going to stay in this tree pose though. We're going to take the left knee and bring it up, flatten that foot, and set up our shoelace on this side. So just grab hold of your left ankle, place it on the outside of the right knee. Maybe this is it for you, or maybe you take it all the way so the knee stacks over your right knee. Now you can stay in your half shoelace. If you prefer to, you can rock onto the right side of the hip. Grab the ankle on the right side and set that shoelace up. And just notice if sides are a little different, if one side's a little more flexible than the other side. It's all very, very normal. And then we're just going to stay, but we're going to take a little bit of a counter pose. In the last shoelace, we worked on our wrists and on our hands, and we're going to work a little bit on our shoulders right here. So we're going to just take the hands, reach them out to the sidewall, spread the fingers, squeeze the shoulder blades back, and then we're going to bring them forward. Right hand is going to come over the left. And then we're going to reach for our shoulders. It's almost like giving ourselves a hug. And maybe you walk the fingers onto the shoulder blades, getting a little deeper. And we're just going to hold this. Squeeze the belly in. Tuck the chin down just a little bit. The nice thing about what we're doing right now and what we did in the last shoelace is it helps pass the time when we have to think about positions of our hands, of our shoulders. We're about halfway there, so we're going to go ahead and unwrap just the top part of our body. We're going to release the hands, bring them back out to the side, spread the fingers, slow motion, almost as though you're at a swimming pool fighting water. And then we're going to bring the hands back together. This time the left hand's going to come over the top of the right. Crosses over and we get another hug. We're going to walk the fingers. Feel the shoulder blades. Press the fingers into it. Then tuck the chin into the chest. Squeeze the belly in, continuing to hold this pose. Noticing if sides are different in the upper body and the shoulder region. We're going to stay for about 2 more breaths, breathing in deeply, exhaling fully. 1 more breath here. Inhale, exhale, and release. Let's go ahead and just take the hands again and just reach the hands out in front. Spread the fingers wide, make a fist and rotate the wrists. And oh yes, we do want to untangle. So let's go ahead and bring the feet in front and just untangle. If you want to, if you need any kind of relief, like maybe taking your hands behind you and moving the knees side to side, you can do that. But we're going to go ahead and go into our next pose. So on your next breath, go ahead and grab 1 block and place it at the very top of your mat. And then hopefully you have that blanket that we used earlier for our knees, and it's up at the top of your mat, and you're just going to place it maybe folded right underneath that block. On our next breath, we're going to take our hands, press them into the mat, and walk the feet if you're sitting like I am, and we're going to make our way onto our back. And the object here is to get the head to come right onto the block. And we're going to go ahead and bend the knees, press the feet into the mat. And you're going to notice that the blanket is supporting your shoulders. So try to squeeze the shoulder blades a little deeper underneath you. And then you're going to have quite an arch in your low back. And that is okay, because this particular pose is going to be a fish/broken bridge pose. It sounds painful, but it's not. It's actually very, very relaxing. So on your next breath, we're going to go ahead and bend the knees and just bring the feet a little closer to your mat. And we're just going to stay right here and relax. And just hold this. Maybe you close your eyes here. Maybe you even send the palms up facing the ceiling. And just let go. Allow yourself to fully relax. We're working the joints and we're working the low back right now. We're not going to stay here too much longer, but long enough to get some benefit. And hear your breath as you're staying. Breathing in deeply from the belly. Exhaling fully. Hearing what sounds like the ocean. Sometimes it's nice to even visualize the waves coming in onto the beach as you breathe in. And then with your exhale, the waves going back out into the ocean. Good. We're going to stay here for 2 more breaths, breathing in deeply. Exhaling fully. One more breath in. And one more breath out. Beautiful. On your next breath, let's go ahead and reach back and remove the block. Just slide it right off of your mat. And you can maybe just sit up briefly and take that blanket and replace the blanket with where the block was. And then just gently come back down. Maybe you come down onto one elbow and then the other elbow coming all the way down. And now your blanket is your pillow. If you don't have a blanket, it's perfectly fine too. Just use your mat. And we're going to do a few more poses on our mat. Just laying flat on our mat, checking my timer here, making sure we have plenty of time, which we do. Very good. So on our next breath, let's go ahead and bend the right knee, bend the left knee, press the feet into the mat, take the hands, slide them up the thighs, grab the knees and pull the knees in towards the chest. Make gentle rocks side to side here. This is actually just our counter pose. If you want to, you can rotate the ankles. And then on your next breath, we're going to do stirrup pose, which is really a happy baby. So we're going to just bend the knees, grab the outside edges of the feet. You can also grab the big toe and the second toe if you prefer. And then bring the feet a little wider out to the side. And then allow yourself to let go. We're going to stay right here and we're going to hold this pose. Sometimes when we're in other yoga practices, we might rock a little side to side, but we're going to hold this pose and try to find stillness. Now, if you have any kind of knee issues and you feel like you need to come out of it, you can try to come out of it and then go back into it. Or maybe you pull the knees back into the chest. Once again, we are working our joints, and lots of joints are involved with this pose that we are doing right now. So just continue to breathe. Think of your intention. Listen to your music if you have it playing. And we're almost finished with this pose. We're going to hold it for 2 more breaths, breathing in deeply. Exhaling fully. Breath travels up the spine. Breath travels down the spine. Beautiful. Now we're going to rock a little bit side to side. And then maybe you straighten the legs, pull the toes towards you and rock a little more side to side. This is called wide V. We're not going to hold this pose. It's more of a counter pose. And then bend the knees, pull them into the chest and make some little rocks side to side. Maybe rotate the ankles one more time. We're getting ready for our next yin pose that we're going to hold. So when you're ready, go ahead and just send the hands out into a T. This is supine twist. Probably very familiar with this one. So we're going to bring the knees out just to hover right over the hips. Feet are facing the front wall. Toes are facing the front wall. And it's sometimes nice to take a lion's breath here. So we'll do that real quick. We'll take a deep breath in. We'll sip in a little more air. Maybe hold that air for just a bit and then release that air through your mouth. Good. It's very relaxing. We're going to now take the knees to the left side. So with your breath, inhale. And then exhale any way you like. Lion's breath or back to your Ujjayi breath. And let the knees just fall towards the left side. Take your gaze over your right shoulder. And just notice that twist that you feel in your spine. Notice the hip joint. And maybe you close the eyes here and relax. Breathing. staying. And on your next breath, we're going to come out of this pose. So breathing in deeply. Exhaling fully. And then slowly release coming out of this pose. And let's just stay right here. And think about the pose that you were just in. Was it comfortable? Did you have any issues? Sometimes a supine twist can be a little difficult because the knees don't want to come all the way down, and it's nice to have a block right underneath, or maybe a block right between the legs. So if you noticed any of those things going on, maybe grab a block and just experiment on this other side and see if that is helpful. So let's go ahead and take a nice breath in. And then exhale, let's take the knees this time to the right side. Go ahead and take your gaze over your shoulder, left shoulder, and experiment with the blocks if you feel there's a need for that to make it more comfortable. And just hear your breath. And if you are experimenting with the blocks, allow yourself that permission to do that. Because once you know what feels best and where those blocks are better for your body and your position, it'll make the next supine twist so much better. Holding that pose, feeling that breath, allowing yourself to stay. And maybe you're so comfortable already that you can close your eyes. Taking that gaze over your left shoulder. We're going to stay right here for 2 more breaths, breathing in. Exhaling out. Breathing in. Exhaling out. And then on your next breath, we're going to come out of the supine twist. And maybe we take our hands and just draw them in towards where the knees are and pull the knees in one more time. Give yourself a little squeeze, breathing in. Exhaling out. And then slide the hands to the front of the knees and just press the thighs down until the feet meet the mat. And then let's come into a butterfly, or this is also known as Supta Baddha Konasana, pressing the soles of the feet together and maybe even pressing just a little bit into the thighs. We're not going to hold this for very long. We're only going to stay, I'm going to count it out for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we're going to go ahead and just bring the feet back together. Slide the right foot all the way down the mat. Slide the left foot all the way down the mat. And then just allow the feet to flop. Maybe the heels meet, maybe they don't. But the feet are super relaxed. We're going to squeeze the shoulders underneath. We're nice and comfortable. And we're going to soften through the face. Just allow the tongue to come off the roof of the mouth. Maybe you move the jawbone side to side and just soften. Think about the forehead, right between the eyebrows where we furrow our brows a lot of the time, and just let it go. Just soften. Soften through the shoulders, the collarbone region, the chest, the elbows, the hands, the fingers. Allow yourself to melt a little deeper into your mat. The hips, the knees, the ankles, the toes, tops of the feet, bottoms of the feet. Just allow yourself to melt. And let's take another breath together, a virtual community breath. Breathing in from the belly, up through the collarbone. Hold that breath for just a bit, and now let it out through your mouth. Close your eyes. And until you hear the sound of the bells, just melt and relax into Shavasana, our final pose of this yin joint pain release. And slowly, gently begin to awaken the body, wiggling your fingers, your toes, maybe spreading the fingers and the toes wide, and then making a fist with the fingers, rotating the wrists, and maybe even pulling the knees in towards the body and rotating the ankles a little deeper. Good. And then on your next breath, when you're ready, roll to your right side, make a little pillow with your right arm, draw the knees in towards the chest. Nice, secure position on your side, right side. Let's stay here for 2 breaths, breathing in deeply. Exhaling fully. Breath travels up. Breath travels down. And then maybe make your way into a comfortable seated position. Maybe roll out your neck, just rotating the neck, moving the head side to side. Good. We'll take the shoulders and reach them up towards the ears, roll them back, squeeze the shoulder blades together. And then go ahead and bring your hands to heart center. Let's press into the fingertips, press into the palms. And we're just going to send the hands up to our forehead. Draw the chin in towards the chest. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you feel